My stepniece tried to break up my marriage with a lie. After 3 days, she said she lied to make her friends at school think she was cool, so I told her she could never see me again. I am a 27-year-old woman, and I need to tell you what happened at our family get-together last month because I am still thinking about how fast everything went wrong. My husband Leander is 33 years old, and we have been married for 4 years. We live in a small house about 25 minutes away from my mom and dad and most of my other family members. My sister Beatrix is 34, and she married John, who was 39, 2 years ago. John has a 17-year-old daughter named Sabine from his first marriage, who became part of our family. Sabine's real mom lives in a different state and sees her about 2 times each year. When John and Beatrix got married, our whole family tried hard to make Sabine feel welcome. My mom and dad asked her to come to every holiday. My mom bought her gifts for her birthday and when she finished school. I added her to our cousin text groups and made sure she had someone to talk to when we had family parties. At first, Sabine seemed to like what we did for her. She would give my mom and dad hugs when she left and say thank you for dinner. She helped my mom cook when we had holiday meals. When we had family get-togethers, she would play board games with my younger cousins. John was happy that we were so nice to his daughter. He told Beatrix many times how lucky he felt to marry into a family that was so kind. Dorian is my 16-year-old cousin, and he is Beatrix's son from her first marriage. He and Sabine went to the same high school, and they seem to be friends. Dorian is quiet, but he has always been close to our family. He stays at my mom and dad's house every other weekend and thinks of it as his second home. Last month, we had a birthday party for my dad at our house. About 17 family members came for a cookout in the afternoon. Leander spent most of the day cooking food on our back porch and playing ball with the younger kids. Sabine sat at our kitchen table looking at her phone for most of the party. She would talk if someone spoke to her directly, but otherwise she kept to herself. Our house has 2 bathrooms. The main bathroom is down the hall from the living room. Our private bathroom is connected to our bedroom. When we have parties, guests always use the hall bathroom because our bedroom is not open to people. Leander and I keep our bedroom door closed when we have people over. The party went well. Sabine ate dinner with everyone and then left with Beatrix and John. After the party, Leander and I cleaned up and talked about how nice it was to have everyone visit. Nothing strange or bad happened that day. 3 days later, Dorian came to our front door around 5 p.m. He looked pale and kept moving from one foot to the other. He asked if he could come inside and talk to me. I brought him into the living room and asked if he wanted something to drink. Dorian sat on the edge of the couch looking at his hands. He said he heard something at school and needed to tell me about it. He said that some of Sabine's friends were talking about what happened at our party. From what Dorian heard, Sabine told her friends that Leander went into the bathroom while she was using it. She said that he showed his private parts to her on purpose. I sat there for a moment trying to understand what Dorian just told me. The story was so crazy that my first feeling was confusion instead of anger. I asked Dorian to tell me again exactly what he heard. He said Sabine told her friends that she was in the bathroom when Leander opened the door without knocking. She said he stayed there for a few seconds before saying sorry and leaving. Her story did not make sense. Guests use the hall bathroom all day, and it has a lock on the inside. Leander was outside almost the whole party, cooking food and watching the kids in the backyard. He came inside to get more drinks or food from the kitchen. He never went down the hall to the bathrooms. I called Leander right after Dorian left. He was completely shocked. He asked me to repeat what Dorian said 2 times because he could not believe someone would make up such a serious story. We spent an hour talking about every part of the party, trying to figure out when this supposed thing could have happened. There was no time when Leander was not with people and could have been near the bathroom. I called my mom and dad that night and asked them to meet with Beatrix, John, and Sabine the next day. I did not say why on the phone because I wanted to talk about it in person with everyone there. My mom and dad said they would have the meeting at their house. The next afternoon, we met in my parents' living room. Sabine sat on the couch between Beatrix and John. She looked nervous and kept looking at the door like she wanted to run away. My mom and dad sat in their usual chairs while Leander and I sat on the small couch across from Sabine. I looked Sabine in the eyes and told her that Dorian had told me an interesting story about what she had been telling her friends at school. I asked her to tell the story to everyone in the room. Sabine's face turned red, and she started to say she didn't know what I was talking about. I explained that according to her story, Leander had walked in on her in our bathroom and showed his private parts. The room became completely quiet. Beatrix's mouth opened wide. John looked back and forth between Sabine and me like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Sabine started to cry and said she never meant for anyone to believe it was true. She said her friends at school often talked about bad things that happened with older men, and she felt left out of their talks. She admitted she made up the story to fit in with what her friends were saying. She said she ruined my husband's name so she would seem more grown up and experienced to her young friends. She said she picked Leander because he was the most recent grown man she had been around. She said she didn't think the story would go beyond her small group of friends. I stood up from the couch and looked at Sabine, who was crying into her hands. I told her she was lying and that what she did could have sent an innocent man to jail. I said that fake stories like hers put men in prison and hurt families. I told her she had put my husband's job and our future together at risk just to make her friends happy. I turned to Beatrix and John and told them that Leander and I would never be in the same room with Sabine again. I said this was not a punishment that would end after a few months or years. I told them Sabine could never come to our home again or to any parties we had or went to. John started to say something about Sabine being a teenager who made a mistake. I stopped him and said that 16-year-olds know the difference between what's true and what's not. I said that someone who can make up fake stories about sexual assault cannot be trusted around my family. Beatrix tried to argue that Sabine had said she was sorry and admitted she lied. I told Beatrix that saying sorry cannot fix the damage caused by telling fake stories about sexual assault. I told Sabine that she showed us who she really was, and we would not give her another chance to hurt us. My mom and dad listened to the whole talk without saying much. After I finished talking, my dad told John and Beatrix that Sabine was not allowed at family parties at their house anymore. He said he would not have someone in their home who would lie about such important things. The meeting ended with John, Beatrix, and Sabine leaving while crying. Leander and I drove home without talking. The next day, Beatrix called to tell me that Sabine was going to go live with her birth mom in another state. She said John decided the situation was too bad for their marriage and family. Dorian has been staying with us for the last 3 weeks while Beatrix and John figure out their living situation. He says Sabine's friends at school found out she had lied about everything. After people found out the truth, most of them stopped talking to her. I know some people might think I was too mean to a teenager who lied, but fake stories about sexual assault are not jokes or mistakes. They destroy lives and people's good names. Sabine knew exactly what she was doing when she told that story. She chose to ruin my husband's name so she would be more popular with her friends. Leander and I are moving on with our lives. We plan to have a baby next year and buy a bigger house. My mom and dad and Dorian support us because they saw how mean Sabine was. Our marriage survived this test because we faced it together and did not let a lie break us apart. Update 1. Many people asked me for an update, so here is what happened after my first post. Sabine went back to her mom's house in Oregon 2 days after our family meeting. John drove her there and stayed with her for a week to help her get used to it. Beatrix stayed at home with Dorian during that time. When John came back, he was tired and looked like he had gotten older by several years. The first week after Sabine left was quiet. Beatrix did not call me, and John did not come to family dinner at my parents' house on Sundays like he usually does. Dorian stayed with us during this time and looked happy to be away from the situation. Then Beatrix called to tell me some news that changed everything. She said John had been calling Sabine every night since she moved to Oregon. During one of these calls, Sabine admitted that lying about Leander was not the first fake story she had told. According to Beatrix, Sabine told John that she had made similar stories about a teacher at her old school in Oregon. That story was the reason Sabine went to live with John and Beatrix in the first place. Sabine's mom had taken her out of that school and sent her to live with John because the situation had become too hard. John never knew the real reason why Sabine came to live with them.
Sabine's mom had just said that Sabine needed a change of place and would do better living with her dad. John thought it was normal teenage rebellion or problems adjusting after his divorce. When John called Sabine's mom to check this information, she said that Sabine had accused a male teacher of bad behavior. The school looked into it and found no proof that Sabine's story was true. Other students said her story was not what happened. The teacher was found to have done nothing wrong, but the story caused so much trouble that Sabine's mom decided to take her away. Beatrix said John was sad to learn that Sabine had a history of making fake stories. He understood that our family's decision to stop seeing Sabine was completely right. He also understood why Sabine's mom had agreed so quickly to take her back for good. This discovery completely changed how John saw things. Instead of seeing Sabine as a confused teenager who made one bad choice, he now saw her as someone with a big problem who could hurt innocent people. He told Beatrix that he felt bad for not protecting our family better. The news about Sabine's past also explains some things that were not clear before. John said that Sabine's mom was very eager to have Sabine live with him for good. At that time, John thought it was because Sabine's mom wanted to focus on her new relationship. Now he knew that Sabine's mom was probably happy that Sabine was not her problem anymore. Dorian was not surprised when Beatrix told him about Sabine's earlier stories. He said Sabine had always been dramatic and wanted attention at school. He said she would make her life stories bigger to make them more interesting. He said some of his friends found it hard to believe her stories, but they did not want to call her a liar. John decided to have less contact with Sabine after learning about her history of making fake stories. He still sends her money and calls her once a week, but he does not plan to visit her or bring her home for holidays anymore. He told Beatrix that he needed to put his marriage and Dorian's safety first. This decision caused a fight between John and Sabine's mom. Sabine's mom called Beatrix to complain that John left his daughter when she needed help. Beatrix told Sabine's mom what happened, saying that John never knew about Sabine's earlier stories. Sabine's mom got defensive, saying the teacher thing was a misunderstanding. Beatrix asked Sabine's mom why she didn't tell John about Sabine's habit of making fake stories. Sabine's mom said she hoped the behavior was just a phase that Sabine would grow out of.
She admitted she should have been more honest with Joan before sending Sabine to live with him. Beatrix's talk with Sabine's mom became angry. Sabine's mom said our family was mean and cruel to a troubled kid. Beatrix answered that Sabine's lies could have ended Leander's job and our marriage. Both women were upset when they ended the phone call. Dorian has done well since Sabine left. He smiles more and seems more relaxed in the house. He told Beatrix that he had been very careful around Sabine because he didn't know what would make her angry. He said Sabine would get mad at him for small things and threatened to tell John that Dorian had been mean to her. John and Beatrix have been going to counseling together to deal with how this event affected their marriage. John feels bad about bringing Sabine into our home without knowing her full story. Beatrix is frustrated that she defended Sabine for so long without knowing the truth. The counselor has helped John understand how to have a relationship with Sabine while also protecting his marriage and stepson. John now understands that being a father does not mean accepting bad behavior or giving up other relationships. My mom and dad have been very supportive during this whole situation. My dad told John that he is glad he decided to put his marriage and Dorian's well-being first. My mom said she hopes Sabine gets help for her problems, but she supports her decision to keep Sabine away from our family. Leander and I have been working on our own plans and goals. We made an offer to buy a house with 3 bedrooms and a bigger backyard. Leander got a better job at work, which will help us pay for the new house. We are excited to start over in a new place. The situation has brought our extended family closer together. Dorian spends more time with my mom and dad now that Sabine is not around to cause problems. John has become more involved in family activities and seems more calm. Beatrix and I have started getting coffee together once a week to talk without mentioning Sabine. Some people have asked if I feel bad for Sabine and if I plan to give her another chance in the future. The answer is no.
Sabine's history of making fake stories shows that this was not a one-time mistake made by a confused teenager. She has a history of telling big lies to control situations and get attention. I'm glad the truth came out before Sabine could make more stories about other innocent people. Our family is stronger and more peaceful without her. Update 2. I have another update because Sabine's situation has changed in unexpected ways that I think everyone following this story should know about. About a month ago, I got a call from Megan, who said she was the mother of one of Sabine's old friends. Megan told me that her daughter Maris was friends with Sabine at their Oregon school before she moved in with John and Beatrixis. Megan explained that Maris had been seeing social media posts from Sabine's current friends and heard about what happened with the fake story about Leander. Maris told her mom that Sabine had made similar stories about other people when she lived in Oregon, including the teacher story that Beatrixis had talked about. According to Maris, Sabine also accused a male student at their Oregon school of bad behavior during a school dance. Maris said that Sabine claimed this boy had trapped her in an empty classroom and made inappropriate moves. The school also looked into this story, which turned out to be false. Many people said they saw Sabine with the boy she accused in different places around the time Sabine said it happened. Maris told her mom that Sabine seemed to enjoy the attention and trouble around her stories. Maris said that Sabine would get excited when talking about these situations and would add more details each time she told the stories. Maris later stopped being friends with Sabine after realizing she was lying about these things. Megan called because she was scared Sabine might make similar stories about other people in other places. She said that Maris felt bad for not speaking up sooner about Sabine's habit of lying. Megan wanted to make sure our family understood that what Sabine did in our community was not the only time she had done something like this. This talk made us more sure about what Sabine was like, but it was upsetting to realize that her fake stories had hurt many innocent people in different schools and towns. I told Beatrix and John. John was sad to find out that Sabine's problems were much more serious than he had thought. He said he felt like he knew nothing about his own daughter. Beatrix was thankful that we had been firm in our decision to stop seeing Sabine. 2 weeks after Megan's call, John got a call from Sabine's school counselor in Oregon. The counselor said that Sabine had been trying to make friends and had been caught telling stories about her classmates. The counselor asked if John knew about Sabine's history of making fake stories since the school wanted to deal with this pattern of behavior. John was honest with the counselor about what had happened in our family and what he had found out about Sabine's past stories. The counselor said that the school would work with Sabine's mom to make a plan to handle Sabine's behavior, but John should know that Sabine might need to change schools again. John told Beatrix that he was overwhelmed by Sabine's problems. He said he'd tried to be a good father by giving money and staying in touch, but he didn't know how to help someone who kept lying and controlling situations. The counselor that John and Beatrix had been seeing suggested that John set clear rules with Sabine about good behavior. The counselor said that allowing Sabine's lies and manipulation would not help her in the long run. John decided to talk directly with Sabine about what would happen because of her behavior. During their next phone call, John told Sabine that he knew about her history of making fake stories going back to her time in Oregon. He said he loved her but could not support her anymore if she kept lying about innocent people. He told Sabine she needed to take responsibility for what she did and stop making up stories to get attention. Sabine got very angry during the talk, accusing John of putting his new family before his real daughter. She said that everyone was against her and no one understood how hard her life was. John stayed calm, telling Sabine that many people face hard times without making fake stories and manipulating others. Sabine hung up on John during the conversation. She did not answer his calls for the next 2 weeks. When John finally talked to Sabine's mom, he found out that Sabine had told her mom that John had been mean and not supportive during their last conversation. At first, Sabine's mom believed Sabine's story and called John to complain. John told Sabine's mom exactly what he said during the phone call with Sabine. He told Sabine's mom that he was trying to make her understand the serious results of her actions. Sabine's mom finally admitted that Sabine was having similar problems at her new school in Oregon. Sabine's mom said she didn't know how to deal with Sabine's behavior. She said Sabine would cry and act like a victim if someone confronted her about her lies. Sabine's mom asked John if he had any ideas for getting help for Sabine. John suggested that Sabine's mom find professional therapy for Sabine's habit of lying and manipulation.
He said that Sabine needed to understand that her actions had serious consequences for innocent people. Sabine's mom agreed to look into counseling options, though she said she was worried about the cost. Dorian has been doing well since Sabine left. His grades have gotten better, and he's more social with his friends. He joined the school basketball team and now spends weekends with his teammates. Beatrix said Dorian was like a different person without Sabine's constant drama and manipulation in the house. Dorian told Beatrix last week that some of his school friends had asked him about Sabine and why she left so suddenly. Dorian said he told his friends that Sabine had been telling stories about family members and that his parents had decided it was best for her to live somewhere else. Dorian said his friends understood and didn't ask for more details. John has been doing better since he set boundaries with Sabine. He still gives her money every month, but he doesn't feel bad anymore about not being close to her. The counselor helped John see that protecting innocent people from Sabine's lies was more important than keeping a relationship that accepted bad behavior. During this difficult time, Beatrix and I have become closer. She has been honest about how hard it was to accept Sabine's manipulation and danger. Beatrix said she had hoped Sabine would change and become a better person, but she now understands that Sabine's problems are too big to ignore or overlook. Leander and I bought our new house last week. We are excited to have more space and a new beginning. We invited my mom and dad, Beatrix, John, and Dorian to dinner this weekend to celebrate. It will be our first family get-together since the incident with Sabine, and we are happy to spend time together without worrying about drama or fake stories. The whole situation has taught our family how important it is to protect innocent people from those who will lie and manipulate for their own benefit. We learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is set firm boundaries with people who won't change their harmful behavior. Update 3. This is my last update about the Sabine situation. Many people have sent me messages asking how things ended up, so I wanted to give an ending to this story. Sabine's mom called John about 6 weeks ago, telling him that Sabine had been kicked out of her Oregon school. According to the school leaders, Sabine made another fake story, this time about a male substitute teacher. Sabine claimed that the substitute teacher said inappropriate things to her during study hall. The school looked very carefully at Sabine's story. They checked security camera videos from the classroom and hallway, talked to other students who were in study hall, and spoke with the substitute teacher. The investigation showed that Sabine's story was completely false. The security video showed that Sabine and the substitute teacher had very little interaction, and other students confirmed that nothing bad had happened. The school principal told Sabine's mom that this was the last thing they would accept. Sabine was already on probation for spreading stories about other students and causing problems in class. The fake story about the substitute teacher was the last straw. Sabine was kicked out immediately and was not allowed to go back to any school in the area. Sabine's mom had to sign her up for an online school program because no other local schools would take a student who was kicked out for making fake stories. Sabine's mom told John that she was overwhelmed and didn't know how to deal with Sabine's behavior anymore. John felt bad for Sabine's mom, but he kept his boundaries. He promised Sabine's mom that he would keep sending money for Sabine's basic needs, but he would not get involved in fixing problems caused by Sabine's own actions. John said that Sabine had to face the natural results of what she did. Sabine called John directly for the first time in months, 2 weeks after being kicked out of school. Sabine was crying and said she wanted to come back and live with John and Beatrix. She promised she had learned her lesson and would never lie again. She said that living with her mom was making her sad and that she missed being part of John's family. John listened to Sabine's request, but stayed firm in his decision. He told Sabine that she had broken the trust of too many people and that her history of making fake stories made it impossible for her to come back. John stressed that he needed to protect his marriage, stepson, and the rest of the family from future harm. Sabine got very angry when John refused to let her move back. She accused John of leaving her and putting strangers before his own child. John reminded Sabine that Beatrix and Dorian were not strangers and that Sabine had brought these consequences on herself with her actions. Sabine threatened to tell other people that John was a bad father who didn't care about his daughter's well-being.
John gently told Sabine that he had records of her habit of making fake stories, and that anyone who looked into it would quickly find out the truth about why Sabine was not living with him. Sabine ended the call by hanging up on John. She hasn't called him since then, but John still sends money every month to Sabine's mom to pay for Sabine's expenses. Dorian graduated from high school last month with good grades. He was accepted to 3 colleges and chose to go to a state university about 2 hours away from home. John and Beatrix are proud of Dorian's achievements and thankful that he was able to focus on his schoolwork despite Sabine's constant drama. Many family members at Dorian's graduation party talked about how much happier and more relaxed everyone seemed without Sabine. Dorian told John that when Sabine lived there, he was scared to invite friends over because he never knew what kind of scene she would make. John and Beatrix finished their relationship counseling successfully. This event has helped make their marriage stronger. John said he learned important lessons about how important it is to know a person's whole past before bringing them into the family. Beatrix said she learned to trust her feelings when someone's behavior doesn't seem right. My mom and dad have insisted that Sabine is not welcome at family events. My dad had no doubts about his decision.
Especially after learning about Sabine's continued habit of making fake stories. My mom feels bad for Sabine, but believes that protecting innocent family members is more important than encouraging bad behavior. Leander got another promotion at work and is now a manager. We have settled into our new house and are expecting our first baby this fall. We are happy to become parents and relieved that we won't have to worry about our baby being around Sabine's harmful behavior. Last month, I saw Megan, Sabine's mom, who had contacted me about her history in Oregon. Megan told me that Sabine being kicked out of school was big news in their small town. Megan said that most parents were happy that Sabine was no longer near their children. Megan also said that her daughter Maris, who had been friends with Sabine, was doing much better since they stopped being friends. Maris had been feeling worried and unsure of herself during her friendship with Sabine because Sabine would control situations and make Maris question her own memories of what happened. The whole situation has taught our family how important it is to protect ourselves from people who lie and manipulate others for their own benefit. We learned that giving someone many chances to get better doesn't work if they can't accept responsibility for what they do. Some people might say we were too strict with Sabine, but I think we made the right decision. Sabine's continued pattern of making fake stories shows that she has not learned what happens because of her actions. Keeping a relationship with someone who won't change would have put innocent people in danger. Our family is happier, more peaceful, and stronger than before. We focus our energy on relationships with people who are honest and can be trusted. We don't waste time trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. John still gives Sabine money every month because he feels parents have a duty to help their children with their basic needs. But he understands that he can't have a relationship with Sabine while she keeps lying and manipulating situations. I thank everyone who followed our story and gave support during a hard time. Accepting that you can't save everyone, especially people who don't want to be saved, can be the hardest part of protecting your family. Sabine made her choices, and now she is dealing with what happened because of them. Our family made our own choices, and we are enjoying the peace and happiness that comes from being around honest, loving people.